Tell us how you got started doing this and with this investigation. How and why?
Well, obviously, it's a giant event, and I've kind of cut my teeth looking at other things, and I got to tell you guys, every single of our biggest events that I've looked into, Oklahoma City, 9/11, I'm a scientist, and if you have pieces of the story that don't fit, it drives me nuts, right?
Yeah.
So Building 7 free falls for 2.25 seconds. I don't need to talk about who might have done it or how. I got to explain that fact, and it's impossible, right? With using the official story. So we have to come up with a different story. So this happens. I wake up the next morning and I find out in CNN, of all places, that an audio expert from the University of Colorado concluded that there were two shooters, right? There were the sounds from the guns 1, 2, and 3 were inconsistent with those from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I was like, oh, whoa, that's a big deal. And then this is how I operate. I get really curious, particularly when that story went nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody picks it up.
Right.
Nobody talks about it. I'm like, how is that not like the biggest thing ever? Right. And as soon as I see that silent space, I say, well, I got to dig into this. So that's what kicked me off. I started the morning of the 14th and I said, well, what can we do? And we needed audio. I'm a data guy. Just give me the data, and then we'll work on the facts and try and fit them to a pattern later. But first, data.
Okay.
First principles. Yeah.
So share with us that data. Show us the sound this is mostly from Trump's microphone, right, on the bullets.
Well, that's one area. That one's really subtle. Are any of you gun guys? I'm a gun nut, so I've spent a lot of time at the range.
We own guns, yes.
We haven't lost them all in the lake yet.
Not all of them, but it was a tragic day when most, yes. So I'm a nut, right? I reload, I do accuracy stuff. I've been at the range many, many, many days in my life, couple 250,000 rounds in my life probably or more. I don't know. I mean, I shoot a lot. So as a shooter, this is what jumped out at me. So we're going to jump now to one of the side recordings because it gets right to the point. And we're going to jump to recording 4. It's from a cell phone. Somebody's to the side. Before the shooting, you can hear them yelling, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. I'm going to take you just to the shooting itself. It's just about 8 seconds long. I'm going to play it. Hopefully it comes through okay and we can all hear it the same. But here we're going to hear these first 3 shots, and there's a little background noise because there's people and they're making noise. And then there's this little gap, and then we hear this staccato burst here, and then there's this last one. And the request is to just listen for yourselves. See if you hear any difference, 1, 2, 3 versus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 9.
Okay.
Here we go. Could that come through? Did you hear?
See.
Yeah.
You can play that.
Yeah.
More of a boom.
Okay. Yeah, the first one I hear thump, 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 and then it's crack, 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 and then snick. Last one's very different.
Definitely.
Dramatically different.
Yeah. Very, very definitely different.
Is that fourth microphone? Is that a cell phone camera?
It is a cell phone camera. Yes.
And do you know if that person, what direction they were faced for the first 3 shots?
It's pretty consistent. They did move it a tiny bit. They were facing this way, and the buildings are all that direction. So, but they faced from here, and they went this way. They probably took 3 or 4 steps. Not a lot to really throw things. But cell phones, it should be pointed out, has a very highly directional mic when you're on the phone. Because obviously you only want your voice in there. But when it switches to video mode, they have omnidirectional mics. So they're picking up a much broader array. Now, if I only had that one, I'd be really concerned about mic orientation. I had some people who ran and did experiments where they faced cameras all different directions and then shot at them, over them, and they couldn't detect any difference. But fortunately, we have a second video that confirms, but it's got a woman just screaming like the Dickens on the top of it. So you really have to kind of squint through it with your ears. But those first 3 are very different. Now we're doing the audio analysis to show that they have slightly different echoes off of them and that they have a very different audio characteristic. So we're going to have an audio fingerprint. That's the analysis being run right now. But that was the one where I said, these are 2 guns. They're in 2 different spots. You can hear it. One's muffled, the first 3, and then you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in this sequence, we now have resolved that the first one obviously was the one that nicked Trump's ear and splashed off of a railing in the back. We could see the little puff. So that one, we could get a perfect trajectory. Now, I was actually getting ready to go to the fairgrounds as soon as the FBI was going to release the tape, because I wanted to go stand on that back railing and look down and have a 6'3" guy standing down on the stage and then sight past it, because that would point you almost precisely to where that first shot came from. Unfortunately, the FBI dismantled the stands and had them taken away within days.
So interesting.